Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Break reminder and force break help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force break activates to rest your eyes. I care you. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Break reminder and force break help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force break activates to rest your eyes. I care you. Safeguard your eyes.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and a very, very warm welcome to AMX Global Beta Season 2. It's race day 11. My name's Alex, and I'm joined by Reed. Reed, good to see you once again. We've got a brilliant double bill of racing action tonight, both oval and road course. And we've got Nascar and Clio Cup action here tonight on AMX Global. Reed, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, Alex. Great to be alongside you, as well as a couple of really interesting tracks coming up today. Like you said, ovals are ovals, unless they're a little less ovular than normal, and that's the case for Phoenix. We got NASCAR Nextgen class cars running there today. And then, of course, like you mentioned earlier, Alex, we're moving over to Tsukuba for some Renault Clio Cup action. If you guys have never seen those, it's a lot of fun. Definitely a break from your normal open wheel or NASCAR. It's a little bit of something different. So we're going to sprinkle that on Tsukuba later on today. And, of course, always exciting to see more racing from our fabulous racers that have signed up and entered for today's races. Absolutely some of the best that we've seen all season, and it's going to be interesting to see if the turns table at all from what we expect. And like I said earlier, this is a look at our first track of the day, heading out onto the Phoenix Raceway for NASCAR Next-Gen class cars.
Yeah, based in Avondale in Arizona. This circuit was originally set to be the open wheel center of, open wheel racing center of Western United States. It measures just over a mile. It is effectively a bit like the Daytona Speedway. It is a tri-oval. And what's more, we have the current generation of the NASCAR Cup cars. And also this circuit has hosted the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series and the NASCAR Xfinity Series back in the late 1990s. 26 degrees air temperature, 55% humidity, and a slight wind of just a shade over 1.5 miles an hour. This circuit has been in operation since around about the mid-1960s, and with lap times under 30 seconds, there's going to be plenty of action. We could see maybe 2, maybe 3 wide, maybe going high, wide and handsome, going round through, especially turn number 4 heading into the dogleg at this fearsome circuit. This is race 11 of the free tier, and as you can see, a total of 45 out of the 90 races that comprise of Beta Season 2 make up part of the total prize pool of around $16,000 US. This here at AMX Global, you can head to amxrace.com. You can also see a total of 22 races for the Tier 1 paid entry, whereby a prize pool per race of $134 with just a $5 entry fee. And then we have Tier 2, where the best of the very best go head-to-head and side-by-side, maybe even at some points millimetres apart from the wheels on each respective cars. $20 entry fee, prize pool per race is $506. So here is the current schedule. We are on race day 11. 90 races, 16,000 total prize pool in terms of US dollars, and this is where, as we both know, Reed, that NASCAR Cup car racing is very much alive and well, especially with the iRacing NASCAR Coca-Cola series that goes year on year and gets bigger and stronger every single time they go racing, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely, Alex. I believe it's either that series or actually, no, it's the Collegiate Series at Daytona that's going on right now. So lots of ovular action out there. We're kind of getting in a little bit on that as we head on out here for our first free race of the day. Because it's our only free race of the day, but it's our first race also. And you can see the point breakdown on your screen right now. It's $1 for every 1 point. And 8 points for first place, 3 points for the fastest lap. So you're potentially, I guess you're always going to make your money back, right? Because as long as you place in the first 8, you're making money and it doesn't cost anything to enter. So always a good investment. So wherever you are, get on over to amxrace.com, get your share of the points or dollars or whatever you want to call it. And that does it for housekeeping. Let's go on into a little bit of an overview of our race. You mentioned Tri-Oval earlier, Alex. Anything else to add here for our breakdown on the Phoenix Raceway?
This circuit has actually been owned by NASCAR themselves since 1997. Originally known as the Phoenix International Raceway, now known as the ISM Raceway, nestled in the foothills of Arizona's Estrella Mountains, and it is one of the most challenging ovals on the NASCAR circuit. And you know what? I mean, it's really, really good to see, but also what was known as Gen 7, now known as Nextgen, was delayed in terms of not the development, but actually the reveal. And just before the next-gen cars were released, if anyone might remember the NASCAR history, that Chevrolet, prior to the 2022 Xfinity 500 at Martinsville Speedway, Chevy clinched its 41st Manufacturers' Championship, and that was the first in the next-gen era back in 2022. And 3 manufacturers make up this grid. The next-gen class has been used since 2022, and you have Chevrolet, and of course the Blue Oval at Ford Motor Company, based out of Dearborn in Michigan, not too far outside of Motor City, Detroit itself, and also Toyota, the only Japanese manufacturer that bring the Camry to the racing stables every single weekend. Some of the key features include a single center-locking wheel nut that was introduced on this generation of the car. It used to be 5 lug nuts that they would have to change on every single corner of the car, on every pit stop, and has effectively seen a lot of drama where teams and mechanics have been penalised during a NASCAR race for not putting on the wheel correctly. But we are underway with the final 3 minutes of the free practice session. It's going to be a 10-minute qualifier and a 40-lap race. So around about 40 miles will be completed by the time we get to the checkered. And we're riding on board with Kyle Gaspar in the number 3. We've also got some regulars in here, and I'm looking forward, Reed, to seeing what livery Mr. Fabio Zampolini, Mr. Colourful, as we've now come to know him, especially if anyone might remember the last time Reed and I were on the broadcast, that we actually had a very, very colourful Radical, which actually sported a pair of eyelashes, and I wonder if he's done the same tonight. And also, the good thing is, we are live on both Facebook and Twitch, and in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, you might see a little Twitch icon showing up your comments in the chat. So don't forget to get involved with us here at AMX Global. But at the moment, with a fastest lap of a 28.449 is Kyle Gaspar. Victor Miranda, just over a tenth adrift. It's very, very close between the 5 drivers that we've got set to compete over a 10-minute qualifying session and also a 40-lap race. And we both know, Reed, that NASCAR is fast. There's a lot of slipstreaming, a lot of tactics that come into play here in this particular style of racing.
Yeah, absolutely. Glad you mentioned that, Alex. It's definitely not what you would expect from your everyday race here at AMX. That's kind of the unique feature of AMX Season 2, right? A lot of circuits, a lot of tournaments are one car on one track, right? Or a group of cars on one track, or different cars on one track. But here in Season 2, we are really mixing it up. And one of the great facets of that is that you get to see a lot of different challenges proposed to our drivers, right? You were talking about some of our more iconic members, and of course we've gotten a chance to see all of these 5 drivers so far this season at least once or twice, many more times. And now we get a chance to challenge them and their driving skills in a little bit of a different way, and prove whether or not they really do have what it takes to be versatile enough to continue their dominance. And even though these are just our practice laps, maybe because it is just about a 30-second oval, our times are going to be incredibly, incredibly close today. So that means that you really do need to know what you're getting yourself into. And of course, it appears as if all of our drivers are very well appraised of the situation today, with some incredibly fast lap times being set, even though it's just in practice.
I'm a bit disappointed, Mr. Fabio Zampolini. You've gone with a standard livery for your Toyota Camry, I'm afraid, with the monster livery. But that is it for the free practice session here at IMS, aka Phoenix International Raceway. And at the top of the timesheets, we saw a certain Caio Gaspar. But now, qualifying getting underway. Caio Gaspar was fastest ahead of countryman Victor Miranda and Fabio Zampolini. Top three covered by just around about a tenth of a second. Josh Perween from Black Arts Racing is back in the saddle once again, and also Sudamerica Racing Team's Diego Villarreal is a little bit off the pace. Now, for those uninitiated with regards to the etiquette of NASCAR, these cars do have a little bit of left-hand down, where the steering is actually angled towards the significant camber to the left-hand side of the circuits. But people just say, well, NASCAR's just going around in circles, turning left. It's more than just that. You've got to really know the machinery underneath you, and if the car is feeling a little bit tight, it seems that it's a bit on edge, but it can also be loose where the back end steps out quite a lot. We're riding on board with Victor Miranda, and we'll go on board for a hot lap as Fabio Zampolini puts in the fastest lap so far, 28.521. And we're reaching speeds as, Victor Miranda just binned it on the right-hand side. Not a great way to start your qualifying session, but still is only 23 thousandths off as Fabio Zampolini exits pit road. But again, as I was saying, Reed, the etiquette, and you know, we had an initial discussion when we did our first broadcast just last week that NASCAR is really a staple of American racing.
Oh, absolutely. You know what else is a staple of American racing, Alex? And truly, the main reason I'm glad to have you in the cockpit along with me is that we get to talk about the race. My favorite, and truly, in my opinion, the best units of measurement, and that is miles per hour and miles. Whereas whenever I cast with guys like Marco, I have to do a little bit more conversion. It's complicated. Nobody wants to do that. And so, though our miles per hour are a little bit more ovular today, it does appear as if our racers are still getting a little bit used to that. Quite a few wall touches and a few extra trips around the oval for sure in order to set our maximum top speeds, our lowest possible laps here, and maybe a little bit controversial here is, of course, Diego Villarreal, a guy we expect a lot of colorfulness from, but unfortunately a guy who does not participate in qualifiers for some reason, so he'll be a little bit of the wild card heading into the actual race portion. But for everyone else, we'll get a chance to see things like Miranda, who is actually up at the top of the pack, sitting in 28.451.
Yep, now we're riding on board with Caio Gaspar, currently sitting on the overall leaderboard for Beta Season 2 in third position with a total earnings of $312. Josh Perween, second in the rankings overall on $441, but it is Victor Miranda that has a total of nearly $500 to his credit so far. And the good thing is Josh Perween bringing a lot of red on his Chevy Camaro Nextgen Cup car as he makes his way. And one of the good things I love about NASCAR racing, as you can see, the back end of the Chevy steps out. It is quite loose there, and that's a full-on drift. Josh Perween, I think he's just lit up the rear tyres and biffs the wall with the left front corner, but he's currently in third position. Victor Miranda, in the meantime, is the fastest one out there. 28.451, 7/100 separates the Brazilian from countryman Fabio Zampolini, who we are with now. And we're reaching speeds at certain points on the circuit in excess of 160 miles an hour. And in comparison with somewhere like, say, Daytona, the world centre of speed, as it's affectionately known in Florida, where we reach speeds of over 200 miles per hour, especially with the slipstream being so vital. We're nearly halfway through the qualifying session and 4 drivers so far this, folks. Fabio Zampolini flirting with the wall as he comes across the start-finish line. It is 0.13 of a second. Josh Perwin out for a second attempt in qualification. Halfway through the session, the rear end on that number 4 looks a little bit loose, doesn't it?
A little bit. This is just qualifiers, and you'll see, actually, it looks like he was considering heading back to pit there. Anytime you got a little bit of damage, obviously it might not look like a lot, but you definitely have to get that taken care of, especially when it comes from even just slight little touches on the wall. You get a little bit of rub there, and it's really going to slow you down in the long run aerodynamically. So, yeah, a little bit of struggle already before the race even starts. A brief altercation, dust up there. Josh Perwin will definitely now have to head back to the pits the hard way, as even guys like Victor Miranda struggling to get out there and make it around the oval.
That's the problem if you've put a new set of boots on these NASCAR Nextgen Cup cars, and the biggest problem was Miranda was completely sideways. Perwin was just exiting pit road and just unfortunately was caught up in Miranda's folly coming out of, I think that might have been turn 2 or 3. And as per the Twitch chat, thank you very much to our friends at Home HQ at AMX Global, but we ride on board with Kaya Gaspar. Speed now approaching in excess of 160 miles an hour, dropping down to around about 110 miles an hour, going through this very tight left-hander. And now that's out of turn number 4 and across the stripe. Hopefully we stay on board with Mr. Gaspar as he decides to abort his run. And it's only 29 thousandths behind Victor Miranda, who comes across the stripe. Let's see if the Brazilian in the number 66 goes across the line. Does he improve? Not on that particular occasion. It was a 28.5 as Gaspar goes on and the biggest thing here, especially with NASCAR, there's no tyre warmers like, say, in Formula 1, and cold tyres, cold brakes can really catch you on an hour, can't they, Reed?
Absolutely. I mean, it's not even just cold tires, cold brakes. At some point, you got to engage what I like to call no Johns, and that means that at some point you just got to say, okay, I'm ready, it's time. And if something goes wrong, you got to take that L, right? You have to bear responsibility for getting yourself, your car, your tires, your brakes ready to go, right? Obviously, in the real world, you've got a pit crew and an entire support staff, and their whole job is designed around getting everything exactly the way that it needs to be. And even at some of these professional liveries, man, some of the biggest teams and racers in the world, that does not go according to plan. And similarly so here, you can see our players, our racers really struggling a little bit to get everything copacetic the way it needs to be to put up a hot lap, to climb up in the standings and beat top times like you see set there by Kyle Gaspar, 28.419.
Yeah, they've got to get the cars dialed in ahead of the 40-lap race, and another improvement from Kyle Gaspar, 28.410, wow. 41 thousandths quicker than Victor Miranda. Fabio Zampolini rounds out the top 3, a further half a tenth behind, and then Josh Perwin, a further 22 thousandths adrift in 4th position. Still Diego Vidal. This is a tactic, number 22, that he employed in beta season 1, where he would do what we like to call in the United Kingdom by some of the commentators like myself and my good friend Henry Baudet, we call it a top gear from the rear. So maybe might try to avoid the big one, as they like to call it, whenever multiple cars go into each other, rather unfortunately, and it causes absolute chaos, as we very well know in NASCAR. As Miranda, that's the best of anybody in the first sector, 14.246 from the number 66, as he's going to come out of the final corner, turn 4 across the stripe. Will he get any quicker on this particular one? No, he does not improve. He does not improve. He was over 3 tenths off of his final attempt as we're heading into the final 30 seconds here in this 10-minute qualification session. Victor Miranda's going out for a last attempt, but maybe might get through. But Gaspar again, Reed, improves to 28.378 from the number 3. So Gaspar at the moment has got the car dialed in very, very nicely here in the last few seconds of qualifying.
Yeah, absolutely impressive. Gaspar kind of in a league of his own, continuing to race against not the clock, not the other racers, but just himself, improving over and over again, now down below 28.4. And he will sit there pretty much alone. I don't foresee any of our other racers being able to overtake that, but they will have brief moments as we finish our group qualifiers and the checkered flag does come out. I believe we are potentially looking at our final standings for these early open qualifiers. And actually, as long as the qualifiers are going on, you guys can get out there or come in here and join anytime during our qualifiers. So, hey, that's not how you want to end your qualifiers, the hard way.
Yeah, Mr. Zampolini, you were definitely not on the brakes on that one. That effectively concludes qualifying for this particular race. It's free tier race number 11 on race day 11 here at Phoenix for the Nascar Nextgen Cup cars. And there are our results. A good start for the evening for Caio Gaspar. 40 thousandths ahead of Victor Miranda. Fabio Zampolini dropped off a little bit towards the end of qualification and his last lap didn't go to plan, so he ends up on the inside of row 2. Josh Perween from Black Arts Racing joins him on the outside of row number 2, with Diego Villarreal from the Sudamerica Racing team having opted not to take part in qualifying and will start from the back of the 5-car grid. We've also got our iRacing pace car in front of the field as we are just waiting for everyone to grid up. But the good thing about NASCAR, one of the things I like, is very much like what I love in karting. We don't have a traditional standing start with NASCAR. Oh no, we have a rolling start, folks, and that's a very, very good thing to have because everyone's up to speed and then it's just literally let them loose and cry havoc, let slip the dogs of war. Wouldn't you agree, Reed?
Yeah, absolutely. That is a great summary of kind of the essence of NASCAR, right? You're going around in ovals and you think to yourself, okay, I just turned, but no! Truly, you do have to not only do that by yourself, but with a whole field of contenders. And this is going to be a rolling start, like you mentioned, Alex. And that means that once our drivers get up to speed, coming around the track, they are really going to let those dogs, or I suppose their horses of war under the hood of their next-gen NASCARs out here on Phoenix Raceway. I still lovingly call it Phoenix, and I try to always... It's not that I'm avoiding the new sponsors they get, but then if it changes, right, you got to go back and it ruins the consistency, right? So Phoenix will probably always have a place here in this particular raceway, but ISM, the current sponsors, whatever you want to call it, and we're off to the races across the finish line through our rolling start, and already a lead for Caio Gaspar, but less than a second behind him, Miranda, Zampolini, Perwin, and Villarreal. No qualifying time for him, so I don't really know what to expect from this experience. He is back of the pack with only Josh Perwin 0.3 of a second ahead of him. The action hot and heavy there in the middle, maybe a little bit of a touch.
It was between Zampolini and Miranda. Josh Perween went the pair of them as we now go on to lap number 2 out of 40. Gap from the leader is now nearly a second, as second, third, and fourth battling away over these scraps on the table. And this is when you're going to see NASCAR in full effect, slipstreaming at its absolute finest. Zampolini was up the inside of Miranda through, I think, turn number 3. On Miranda, and the biggest thing was Zampolini went a little bit too far towards the right hand side, but here's an attempt from Miranda up the inside of Perween as they go into the banking right through the amphitheatre. Grandstands on the right hand side, and it's very close. That was a bit loose there from Zampolini, and just goes around the outside as if Zampolini was standing still, but Perween and Miranda still at each other's door panels and fenders right now. It's neck and neck between the pair of them. Miranda to the inside, Perween flirts with disaster and the outside wall, but Miranda up the inside as the micro centre Toyota Camry going to get through? Not quite, but he does do now through T1, and Perween has got to start chasing him down. He's going to number 66. Differing racing lines being taken by all respective 5 drivers. But at the moment, Reed, Kyle Gaspar has got a 1.3 second advantage as we now go on to lap number 5 out of 40.
Yeah,
hang on.
About a quarter. Ooh.
Josh Perween might have just had a little bit of a blip on his computer. He dropped to the end of the bottom of the timing screens. I think he might have had a possible disconnect, but he is still running. And he's keeping Miranda honest. But yeah, so far, Gaspar, he mugged everybody on the start, got away very, very quickly indeed, and thought, hang on, I don't want any part of what's going to happen behind me.
Yeah, exactly. It's one thing if you run out of fuel, you need new tires, you got to go pit, but you definitely don't want to take any unnecessary breaks here. And looks like Perwin might have had a little bit of one. Obviously, he's still going, and we don't have fancy AIs to take over, so I'm hoping he's still in that hot seat. But at the middle of the pack, this is, it's not a bad place to be, but certainly we have seen better from guys like Josh Perwin. Even just last week, he had a day where he took home not one, but both first place finishes. So absolutely capable of anything. Certainly a driver to keep an eye on. So currently we are keeping an eye on Fabio Zamperlini, a guy who does not usually go for qualifiers and still has yet to post up a big win dominantly over some of the other best racers here. So very, very exciting to see what he can get done, even from the back of the pack.
Well, we will see whether there is going to be any further drama as a touch between Zamperlini and but Zamperlini into the wall. That was probably coming through turn number 2. But Zamperlini, I think, got away with that one very, very lightly indeed. But Miranda still being very honest.
Yeah, even just the slightest of touches, you really, really do have to be careful about that, especially in NASCAR. If you have a big 2024 car start, you are absolutely going to have some early altercations, and you really do have to make sure that it is not your fault, that you are not contributing to that. You don't want, especially on iRating, you don't want your safety rating going down any faster than humanly possible. So always some things to watch out for. Currently, it's Josh Perwin is getting kind of the downside of that, but it hasn't knocked him out of the race by any means. Still only a half second behind the second place racer. Miranda in second with Kyle Gaspar, like we said, putting increasing amounts of daylight between him and his next closest racer, Miranda.
And Perwin looking up the inside of Victor Miranda. He got the whole shot in terms of slipstreaming. They are bumper to bumper. And Miranda still holding on for second. Perwin looks to the inside. Back end of his car gets a little bit tail happy. But the number 4 holds station in third place. Lap 11 of 40 at this moment. Gap now between first and second position has expanded to just around about 2.2 seconds. And you look at the cumulative lap times in comparison between the top 3. Perwin is the slowest out of anybody out of the 5-car field. It's still keeping within 3/10, and if you're within 3/10 of the car in front, especially in this kind of racing, you're going to find that when you get onto the start-finish straight here at Phoenix, you're going to get that slipstream, you're going to get that tow, you're also going to get a little bit of an aerodynamic imbalance where the car feels a little bit looser at the back end. We saw Perwin very, very sideways, and again the back end is stepping out left to right for the number 4.
Yeah, absolutely. Alex, when you look at completely traditional ovals, right? Not that it's easy by any means to go out and hit your apex every single time, but with a tri oval, like you mentioned earlier, that does mean that each situation is going to be a little bit different, not only because the shape of the track isn't as uniform, but also because the dynamic nature of the race does come into play. And that means that you have to be careful, not only with your proximity to your other racers, but also when you go for these aggressive moves, like probably we're going to see from Kerwin here in just a few moments. You really have to make sure that you time and place that overtake opportunity correctly, as it's going to be a little bit different than doing it just about anywhere else. Very unique situation our drivers find ourselves in today, and hopefully they can keep it safe and not have any dubious incidences as they get a little bit up close and personal. But looks like at least for the middle of our time here spent on the Phoenix Raceway, our drivers are settling into a fair pace coming through the mid-stretch.
Yeah, Josh Perween is languishing a little bit behind Victor Miranda as things stand right now. We are on lap number 16 out of 40 of Phoenix here in the first of 2 races on AMX Global, and he's starting to close that gap up a little bit. Maybe Perween has got a little bit of a better measure on the turn-in on the apex, especially going very, very tight to the yellow line on the inside of the circuit. The higher up you are, the less momentum you sometimes tend to carry through the corners. But now the gap is coming down to just under 3.5 tenths of a second. He's taking a slightly wider line into the apexes, and now he's going to get the run coming down the finish straight as we're on to lap number 18 out of 40. And look at the run of momentum that Perween has just gotten, just staying in the wheel tracks of Victor Miranda, who goes a bit sideways. Now Perween has the advantage, and switch from Miranda. Perween goes low to the inside, very close to the grass, and the number 4 gets through for second. Well anticipated by Perween, but now Miranda is going to become the hunter.
Yeah, Victor Miranda, a little bit of a fishtail there, wobbled his way out of contention for that second place spot. But now that he has kind of righted the ship, he is revving the edge, pedal to the metal, trying to retake his purloined glory. And for Miranda, this is a guy used to being in first place. He has finished top of the pack several times in a row, even consecutively in the early part of Season 2 here at AMX Global. And so he knows what it is to be way up there in the standings and, to be honest, untouchable in his own right for a very long time. Now, guys like the upstart Josh Perween coming through and taking that away from him. We had a lot of daylight left, a lot of laps ahead of us here on our time at the ISM Raceway, Alex. And so certainly anything can happen. But at some point, you start to feel that pressure now knowing, I've lost my position. I've been overtaken. How do I get that back?
Yeah, as I said earlier on, when we started things off here for this free race, and it's race number 11 on the free tier here on AMX Global, we have seen it where drivers have managed to come back. Perween using a different aggressive racing line strategy in comparison with Miranda is now starting to pay dividends. The gap between second and third has now opened up significantly to around about 1.2 seconds. And now the drivers will, over the course of have done over the last 21 laps, as we're now on to lap 22 out of 40. The tyres are degrading. They are leaving. The funny thing is that they are losing their adhesiveness, and there is Victor Miranda going sideways, and up the inside is set to come Mr. Fabio Zampellini, as the number 1 is going to go side by side. Not only did he get the toe, but he's also going to get a side draft going into turn 1. Zampellini now through for third position, and again I think the rear tyres have dropped off the cliff for Victor Miranda. Right up his rear bumper is Diego Villarreal in the number 22.
Yeah, you want some slicks normally, but not bald ones. They are wearing all the way out. The track will rubberize over time, but you want to keep the rubber on your tires as much as possible. We might see a set of pits here because certainly guys like Miranda are really feeling the heat on those tires. A little bit of a hot day today as well out on the track. You can see the sun glistening in the windshields of our racers, and so all something to keep an eye on. And the sooner you take care of that, the easier it becomes to make up the lost time from getting some fresh ones on. So it is going to be rough until that transformation comes. And there it is. You see Miranda heading out into pit row.
Yeah, it was only a matter of time before we saw one of the 5 drivers heading down pit road to get some fresh rubber on their Nextgen Nascar Cup car. So Victor Miranda having a very, very long trip down pit road to get into the pit box, and locks up the brakes whilst getting into finishing his run down pit road. But Caio Gaspar is leading the way. Fabio Zampolini is catching Josh Perwin to the tune of around about 2.5 tenths of a second. So race for P2, very much undecided, I think. And also you can put into that equation certain Diego Villarreal, who is catching Fabio Zampolini. And the gap was 1.1 seconds just a few moments ago. It's now under 8 tenths. So Villarreal's strategy seems to be working at this moment, to have stayed out of trouble, let all the chaos happen in front of him. Okay, can he catch Zampolini? We've still got 13 laps to go, including this one.
And Alex, that is definitely a racing strategy, stylistic choice that you have to make. What kind of driver are you? Are you the safe and steady driver who is able to settle for middle of the pack finishes, top 3s, top 4s, and call it good? Or are you always thirsting, questing for that trophy, the top of the podium, your only goal? For guys like Miranda, he took that early pit, and I guess this is my other question to you, Alex. What's the pit strategy like, right? When you know that at some point you will need to head out there, or especially when it is a multi-pit race, right? When everybody will have to take time out eventually. What's the strategy like? Do you want to be the first person in there, or is it strictly based on the condition of your car and running it for as long as you can until you need a little bit of a breather?
Well, I think it's mainly down to certain factors. How the car's dialed in, how your driving style complements the setup, and, how aggressive are you going to be? Are you going to be flat out? Are you going to be balls to the wall? Pardon the expression. But it's mainly about, you've got to have those 3 sort of factors that come into consideration. And with the way that Caio Gaspar has led every single lap, he got out of harm's way, thereby he can run his own race, not worry about anybody behind him. In the meantime, Victor Miranda, no surprise, has been setting fastest laps. He's running in the 28.4s, and everyone's running in a high 30 at the moment as we go into moment there for Josh Perwin. Josh Perwin just went off the circuit, and I think as he tagged the wall with the front end of the number 4, he's done a return to garage. Josh Perwin's race just went from underneath his feet right there and then, and now we've got a titanic battle, because look who's just passed Fabio Zampolini. Diego Villarreal has timed the strategy very, very well indeed. And also the last tour around Phoenix, Zampolini was over 9 tenths of a second slower than Villarreal on that particular occasion.
Yeah, we are nearing our final few laps here. Only 7 left to go, and these laps will go very quickly with about 30 seconds to run your way around the oval. And you already see Miranda and Perwin in pit row. tragedy striking there. Josh Perwin, you really got the feeling that if he could just hold it together, he would finish on that podium. But unfortunately, just like we saw during practice, just like we saw during qualifiers, not touching that wall becomes an increasingly more difficult temptation, and unable to resist it, Josh Perwin heading up back to the pits where he will remain, even behind guys like Miranda, who are a whopping 3 laps off of that podium finish.
Also, the fact that we have gone past 80% race distance as of lap number 32, so everyone in this race will be guaranteed of scoring points. That's very crucial, because what do points make here at AMX Global? It means you get
Money.
some dollars in your back pocket. Yep, everyone's all about the Benjamins here at AMX Global, and quite an appropriate term considering what we're racing at the moment, Reed.
That's right, we're racing Benjamin dollar bills exactly like Alex. I mean, it's NASCAR, but, taking a look right now at Fabio Zamperlini, who is heading out for his time through pit lane. Everybody's got to pay the piper eventually and take a little bit of a timeout to get a breather, a little bit of a refresher, and that is what you'll be seeing here as Diego Villarreal now comes through for his time here. Gaspar Villarreal recognizing, oh man, if I just got out and pushed, I wouldn't have to head back to the pits. But as Zamperlini comes out, everybody will have to pay the piper eventually. And maybe this is where you could see a little bit of not a direct aggressive overtake, but a faster pit time, these faster time back out on to the race. You can absolutely make up some time that way. And with only 3 more laps left to go, there is a limited amount of time left for our racers during their time here on Phoenix.
Kaya Gaspar has led every single lap, stuck it on pole position, and is nearly 6.9 seconds up the road from Diego Villarreal, who again uses that strategy of not setting a lap time in qualification. But Villarreal, let's be completely honest here, that gap was about 8 seconds a few laps ago, and now Villarreal is matching pretty much Gaspar on lap times. But Josh Perwin now decides to come into pit road. Looks like the number 4 will also be putting on a new set of tyres. That just goes to show how quickly these tyres can drop off, especially on such an abrasive and challenging circuit here at Phoenix Raceway. But again, that gap between Caio Gaspar and Diego Villarreal has dropped, and that's dropped by well over 0.7 of a second. If Villarreal had been a little bit more up to speed over the course of the race, and he would have probably been right on the back bumper of Caio Gaspar. So 2 more laps next time around. We will have the white flag in the air here at Phoenix Raceway. There is your race leader, white flag in the air, just under a mile to go, and Caio Gaspar has led from lights out. He's going to take the checkered in just 2 corners time. Gap is slowly coming down between him and Diego Villarreal. Probably will be about 5.2 seconds by the time we hit the checkered, as Gaspar is just 1 corner away from victory here on the free tier race number 11. And the checkered is out. Gaspar takes the win, takes the W here at Phoenix after 40 laps of racing. Diego Villarreal takes second. Fabio Zamperlini takes third. Josh Perwin was running in second after a great battle with Victor Miranda. And what's more, Victor Miranda will take home 3 additional points, securing the fastest lap, but will only finish in 5th position. But, well, that was a fantastic way to start racing here on race day number 11 here at AMX Global. But Reed, Caio Gaspar, the absolute dominant force, had everything dialed in, and no one could touch the number 3 from Brazil.
That's right. Only one way you get on BRB Esports. If that's what you say when people ask, when you're going to come back to that first place spot. He always seems to be right back up there, and today is no exception. Kyle Gaspar, Diego Villarreal, Fabio Zimp, Josh Berwin, and Victor Miranda, your final tower for the scoreboard on our first race. And I wouldn't say necessarily the way I would have predicted it. Certainly a few momentous upsets, specifically guys like Josh Berwin come back into mind after a really strong start to the race. He had a pretty epic overtake, but a little bit of inconsistency meant that one little touch on the wall and maybe some rough tires or body work meant that I'd head back to the pits the hard way and cede the rest of the field to our other four racers. He does take home a fastest lap, if I'm not mistaken, and maybe a little bit of extra money on the line for him. But still, a great way to end our time here on the Oval. What's coming up next, Alex?
Well, we switch from NASCAR Next-Gen Cup cars to the iconic Generation 5 of the Renault Clio Cup cars. We're going to be heading from the United States to Asia, more specifically Japan, to the Tsukuba circuit, where we're going to have some great races. We've got more races coming in tonight. Don't forget, hit us up on socials, hit us up, give us a follow on Twitch. Why not subscribe to us on YouTube? You've got all the links in the description down below. We're even on TikTok, folks. So myself and Reed are going to have a little bit of a break, as are the team here at AMX Global. And we will see you very, very soon for Tier 2, Race 6, Clio Cup action at Tsukuba in Japan. We'll see you in just a few moments.
Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Brake reminder and force brake help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force brake activates to rest your eyes. I care you. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Brake reminder and force brake help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force brake activates to rest your eyes. I care you. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Break reminder and force break help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force break activates to rest your eyes. Eye care you. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Break reminder and force break help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force break activates to rest your eyes. Eye care you. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Break reminder and force break help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force break activates to rest your eyes. Eye care you. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Break reminder and force break help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force break activates to rest your eyes. Eye care you. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Break reminder and force break help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force break activates to rest your eyes. Eye care you. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Break reminder and force break help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force break activates to rest your eyes. Eye care you. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Brake reminder and force brake help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force brake activates to rest your eyes. Eye care you. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Brake reminder and force brake help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force brake activates to rest your eyes. Eye care you. Safeguard your eyes.
Well, after a half-hour break, we're back for the continuation of race day action here on day 11 of the AMX Global Beta Season 2. It's Alex and Reed back with you once again. Reed, Nascar kicked things off. Now we go to road course action in Japan. It's so great to have such diversity once again over what's going to be 90 races. We're going all the way through to the end of June for Beta Season 2. And tonight just showcases how diverse are the range of skills that the drivers have to have in this season. I was trying to hear Reed. I think I was trying to hear Reed then. I can't hear.
There we go. Fix things up a little bit there. Look, I just assume that I said the funniest thing you've ever heard. React accordingly. That's always my strategy.
That's why I was laughing.
Okay, well, mission accomplished. Great job. That's why I like working with Alex, in case you guys were wondering. Yeah, I like to think of you and I as being from, at least originally, across the pond from each other. And now that I am out here in Korea, we're going across the pond again to Japan for some scuba lessons. Now, I don't have my license in the water or on this track, but when it comes to scuba, it definitely offers a big change from the oval action we saw earlier with NASCAR. And that's not the only big change. We are heading out onto the street for some Renault Clio Cup car action, which might just be a little bit different than NASCAR, Alex.
Well, considering we go from a short block V8 to an inline turbocharged 4-cylinder 1.3 litre touring car that is front-wheel drive, so snap-on oversteer is going to be one of the, I think probably one of the, how can I say it, the little bit of je ne sais quoi, as they would say, because we are running with the French manufacturer. This particular car is running in multiple different championships across France, Spain, Italy, and Central Europe, using the current Renault Clio RS5 car, which has been running since 2020. And Clio Cup Europe is one of the biggest grids, around 35 plus cars. Here we are at Tsukuba, and this is Tier 2, Race 6. Okay, the air temperature for the circuit is going to be 26 degrees. Track temperature is going to be very, very hot tonight, but it is the 2000 shorts layout, and the circuit in length is just under 1.3 miles. Shimotsuma is the location, which is in the Ibaraki prefecture, just in Tsukuba, and it's just around about 60 kilometers north of the capital city of Japan, of course, central Tokyo. And there is a small chicane used on this circuit, but it's only for motorcycle racing that increases the length of the circuit. It broke ground here in the Ibaraki prefecture in 1966. The circuit opened 52 years ago, nearly 53 years ago, because it will celebrate its 53rd anniversary come 22nd of June this year. We have a few more competitors, but we are on Tier 2. And this is where the big bucks are. Minimum payout of $200, plus also prize pool per race, $506. Participation prize per racer is $5 a piece. It's a $20 entry fee. But of course, if you are a skilled iRacer, get yourselves up to amxrace.com. Race signups, driver can join any tier, any race, anytime. We have got some more action coming up on race day number 11 in just less than 48 hours time. But this circuit really does provide a fantastic bit of action. We're on race day number 11, and also now race day 12 will take place on April 27th. We're going to be running right the way through to the end of the month of June with a total of 90 races. But here at Tsukuba, we have already seen it before. The last time I saw this circuit was on Beta Season 1. And what's more, it was with front-wheel drive action, but it was TCR. Looking at the points, as you can see on the left-hand side of your screen, there's more up for grabs. 100 points for the race win, fastest lap of the race secures you a cool 50 points, which gives you $50. And also, the biggest thing that we also have set into place over Beta Season 1 and Beta Season 2 is you are considered as a non-finisher if you finish under 80% of the winner's total race time. And each driver, even if they don't get to the end of the race, will still pick up $5 through 5 points for participating. And we got some more cars on the grid. This circuit, however, is tight. It is technical. It is challenging. It's just over 1.5 kilometers. Look at the track temperature, 49 degrees. And this circuit has been synonymous with time attack, where every single driver goes out there to put the fastest lap down on the circuit. And it's the 2000 short configuration. It's 25 meters altitude over sea level. And the good thing about Japan, along with its race culture, I mean, not just the fact that the Japanese Grand Prix gets held at Suzuka every year, but there is a massive motorsport connotation with Japan. Not just time attack, but also Formula Drift. That's one of the biggest things. The Japanese were the inventors back in the high mountains, not too far off of Fuji International Speedway. So it is a perfect circuit for drift action. But we've got front-wheel drive Clio Cup action here tonight, Reed. I am incredibly, incredibly excited.
Yeah, I have to echo that sentiment. These are the cars we're running, Clio Cup cars, and while they're not quite the TCR touring cars that Alex was alluding to earlier, they do share similarities in that they are quite a bit smaller than the ones that we were watching earlier today at Nascar. 1.6 liter four-cylinder inline unit for around about 200 horsepower. And if you want to compare that to something, just start running down the sidewalk really fast, and you're almost there. Of course, a small understatement. The idea is that they are a little bit more of an accessible way to get into motorsports. Stepping stone is the phrase that they use there, but certainly a stepping stone onto bigger and better things. And we're going to step on up to watching these guys race, and they do handle a little bit differently. And so, of course, does the track, the short version of Tsukuba is what we're using here today. So on board with Kalevi, as you can see there, his little livery, as he enters into a field of 8 racers here. Zamperlini, Kalevi, Gaspar, Valero, Miranda, Perwin, Resende, and Villarreal, rounding out our 8 racers here, and quite the field for the start of our time out here on to Tsukuba, Alex.
Yeah, good to see Gael Valero, a French driver actually running with one of the well-known established marks within racing, that is Apex Racing Team. And of course, those who haven't been keeping up with ESL R1, of course, Apex Racing have quite a few drivers, the likes of Kevin Ellis Jr. And Peter Berryman, just some of the household names from the drivers from that squad. But at the moment, Fabio Zamperlini, Mr. Colourful, let's hope he has not disappointed this evening with regards to his second opportunity. Something a little bit more than what we saw like in season number 1 from Mr. Kulharvi. A bit more black, but Fabio, come on, switch it up, man. I mean, we wanted to see the eyelashes over the headlights like we saw in the Radical just last week, but he's currently fastest in the latter stages of this free practice session, 47.457 seconds. Gaston Kulharvi, Kyle Gaspar, fresh off his victory at Phoenix Raceway just over half an hour ago. Currently P3, Gael Valero. And what you can also see on the far right-hand side are the I ratings, as in the mass of skill points that the drivers have accumulated. And the one driver that has got the least of all, but also has sometimes best strategy, Diego Villarreal, the number 22. There is Gaston Kulharvi, gone with a bit of a Harlequin style approach with his livery, black bonnet, rear bumper, rear wing, and the main body is in red. But we're coming to the end of the session. Fabio Zampolini has been the fastest in this one. It's going to be a 10-minute qualifying session plus a 20-lap race. And qualifying now gets underway. Hopefully Josh Perween will have a little bit more luck around this particular circuit, unlike what happened to him in NASCAR. But Fabio Zampolini tops the times, and the drivers very closely packed, probably less than a second and a half, splitting the entirety of the eight grid field. But now we're underway with our 10-minute qualifying session here at Tsukuba 2000 Short.
That's right. Getting things started here. It is group qualifiers, so you'll probably see our racers spend a little bit of time separating the pack where they go for their big qualifying lap. You were mentioning iRatings a little bit earlier, along with and in conjunction with one of our newer racers, Gael Valero. Not a newer racer by any means at all. Man, sitting up at 9.3K. And if you guys have raced a lot of iRacing and you're like, oh, okay, let me try to get my iRating up there. It's a little harder than you might imagine, especially when you start to crest that 4K, 5K rating. You are really getting up there. Sitting at 9.3 is nigh godlike. So quite a strong statement to make, entering our field of contenders through practice and now out on into their qualifying lap here. Couldn't have picked a better race or a better track or better cars to showcase some of the talent that we have here. And it is the 2000 Short version of the track. Not by any means the shortest track, but still is going to yield a lot of action when you put a lot of cars out on there. And especially handling these Clio Cup cars can be a very, very different fare than what we have seen previously. So absolutely have to keep an eye on especially some of the more iconic curves that you get when you come through Tsukuba. Things like turn 8, really, the hairpin, and of course inner hairpin on turn 4. Really have to hit the brakes and not spin out of overdrive as you take those to maintain your speed on the upcoming straightaway, especially that back straight, where you get so much of your speed to lower your times here on Tsukuba.
Yeah, and also one of our good colleagues here at AMX, TJ, will remember this Dragon Ball Z reference. We have the returning battle between Goku and Vegeta. Of course, I'm talking about Victor Miranda and Gael Valero, but with 2 minutes and 45 done and dusted in this 10-minute qualification session, it's Valero from France that leads the way, over 2/10 ahead of Gaston Coulharvey. Fabio Zampolini running out the top 3. Victor Miranda in 4th. Our NASCAR free-tier winner earlier on tonight is currently sitting in 5th position. Diego Villarreal 6th at the moment. Josh Perween currently down about a second off of the pace, just ahead of Brazil's Jackson Resende. But we're riding on board with our provisional pole session with just over 3.25 minutes elapsed. Gael Valero. And we switch to Gaston Coulharvey, who also had his fair share of trials and tribulations in Beta Season 1. But hopefully he might be able to make a little bit of an improvement. But once again, Gael Valero now extends his advantage in the run to pole position with just under 4 minutes elapsed to nearly 4/10 of a second. 0.382 is the differential between Gael Valero as someone makes their way out onto the circuit, running in the good old, little bit of a Red Bull tribute livery with a bit of chrome effect. That is Caio Gaspar. And Gaston Coulharvey has just gone past, hard on the brakes, and turning left into the inner field hairpin. A little bit of a left-hand side adverse camber for the drivers to contend with. And of course, as I mentioned with regards to front-wheel drive here, Reed, if you turn the car in a bit too early, you apply the throttle a bit too hard, you might find that the car might get a little bit sketchy at the rear of the car. Sometimes we've even seen it where drivers have really turned in very tightly, as you can see the track map, very, very short circuit. As
there it is,
out to the final corner. Got a little bit of snap-on oversteer, and the front end looks to be a little bit of a virtual write-off, but Coulharvey now drops down to 4th position as improvements both from Victor Miranda up to 2nd. Fabio Zampolini now on an outlap. Currently in third position. Caio Gaspar needs to make some improvements as we ride on board with the number 327 from Brazil. Tight into the hairpin. Goes the number 327. As you can see on the track map on the top right-hand corner of your screens, the location of all our respective drivers that are currently out on circuits. And Zampolini making his way down through into the final right-hand sweeper. Pretty much is an open-ending hairpin, a bit like Parabolica Alboreto at Monza, and will come out of the final corner, run the car a little bit wide onto the runoff area. Still was within track limits with two wheels on the inside of the white lines. And Zampolini on that particular occasion has just set pretty much a personal best, but has yet to close on in. There is Victor Miranda running in the, I like the Harlequin-esque Brazilian flavour on his, I mean, you got bright green, bright yellow, and then a hint of blue on the wing mirrors and the front and rear bumpers on that car. It's great to see a little bit of colourfulness here on the circuit, especially with these Clio Cup cars, but of course with iRacing and also with other racing platforms such as R Factor 2, Assetto Corsa Competizione, and so many others, that you do have the opportunity to do your own custom liveries. As Fabio Zampolini now goes up into second position with 6 minutes and 20 completed, and just over 3 minutes and 30 left to go on the timer. Who will take pole position at the moment? It is Gael Valero, and there is the there's a bit of trailblade braking there from Victor Miranda, locking up the left rear. And the one of the interesting things about these cars, especially when these drivers are at full tilt here, Reed, is the fact that sometimes you will see a back wheel, either left or right, sometimes ending up in the air and not rotating.
Yeah, a few situations in which you could see that. I was watching a couple of race highlights just to get a feel for the Clio Cup cars the other day. Did in fact see some wheels in the air. There was one spinning upside down. There was one completely disconnected from the vehicle, and a few somewhere in between in various states of dishevelment. So thanks for the warning, Alex. For some people, that's a warning, but of course, for us in the spectator spot, it might just add a little bit of extra excitement to see what our drivers have in mind. I feel like that needs to be a PSA for those guys, as oversteering can be a significant issue, but potentially the least of your problems when it comes to keeping all four wheels on the ground, being maybe a little bit higher up the incidence list. So absolutely got to keep an eye on not only your wheels on the ground, but also as you come around the corner here, our drivers trying to not only get a feel for exactly this layout of the track, but also how to take some of these very, very difficult turns. May make it a little bit more difficult here in these Clio Cup cars, especially when you don't have liveries with flames on them, which of course make your car go even faster.
Yeah, adds maybe a tenth or two with the go faster stripes, but one of the biggest pinch points I already see is coming out of the penultimate corner. There is a barrier immediately to the apex, and we did see one of the drivers actually clip it. So if you get one driver trying to go up the inside of another, one could be on the right side of the law, the other one could be on the wrong side of the barrier, as we've just seen Victor Miranda just go past said barriers, and that is going to be a pinch point. Also the rundown to turn number 1, as Victor Miranda is up on sector 2, but is he going to improve on this lap time as he comes across the stripe? No improvement. He was about just under 2/10 down on his best effort, as Fabio Zampolini trying to see if he can close the gap to Gael Valero. We're into the last 45 seconds of this qualifying session at the Tsukuba Circuit 2000 short layout, rather than the full complete variation of this circuit, which is about half a kilometre length here. Gael Valero again goes faster, extends the gap between himself and Zampolini to just over 2.5 tenths, as Valero has just parked it. I think that was on the outskirts of turn 1. Zampolini out of the final corner. Does the Brazilian improve? No improvement on that time. He was actually well over 2/10 of a second down on his previous attempt. So Valero has called time on the qualifying session as the checkered now comes out. 10 minutes have elapsed. So Zampolini might be able to get one lap in before the server shuts everything down, before they ready up and grid up for this 20-lap race at this circuit. So Zampolini out of the penultimate corner, swings the car wide, heading into the final turn, and that's around about 75 to 80 miles an hour, coming out of the final corner, wrestling with the steering wheel a little bit as he puts down the power across the line. No improvement, it looks like, from Zampolini. No, 47.60, just about 7 hundredths off of his best effort. Josh Berwin crosses line, still remains in 7th position, but Gael Valero making a return to AMX Global here at Beta Season 2, takes pole position for the 20-lap race here at Tsukuba, which will last in around about sort of 25 kilometers of racing, which is approximately, if my maths serve me correctly, I hope, well, as he gets his phone out and checks it on the on the calculator. It's about 30 kilometers, which is just over 18 and a half miles of racing. But there's your results from qualifying for Tier 2 Race 6. Gael Valero putting it on pole with a 47.275 ahead of Fabio Zampolini, Gaston Coulthard, Victor Miranda, Caio Gaspar. Diego Villarreal will start on the outside of row number 3. On the back of the grid for the number 22 is Josh Berwin, and Brazil's Jackson Resende round out the grid. They are starting to grid up here at Tsukuba, and as opposed to Nascar at Phoenix earlier on tonight, looks like we're going to have, as traditionally with the Clio Cup, particularly as per the Clio Cup Europe, ends up being a standing start. But once the green flag waves, we will be underway for the first of 20 laps of this race. Expect fenders to be rubbed, paint to be exchanged, and maybe a contretemps or two as the drivers are lined up, gridded up, ready to go racing here at Tsukuba, the 2,000 short variation of the circuit. Just over 1.5 kilometers, and lights are out, green flag waves. We are underway, and a good start from Valero, who keeps it pinned to the outside. Zampolini keeping tight to the inside, going into the first corner. It looks like Coulthard keeping it pinned around the outside of Miranda, who gets up the inside of the number 8 for third place. Through into the next infield part of the circuit, and Zampolini trying to hunt down. It's still side by side for third position, going into the infield as there's been a turnaround, and down to the back of the field. That might be Villarreal. And Resende not that far behind. I thought there was going to be a very, very close pinch point, and that's exactly what happened on this opening lap. But Valero has got just over a 3.5 tenth of a second advantage as they are about to complete the opening lap out of 20. Zampolini is looking to the inside. He's going to get a good run coming out of that final corner, but Valero has already put the pedal to the metal, and he's already bridged a gap of nearly 4 tenths as we come round out of the final corner to complete lap number 1. Plus also the fact the top 4 covered by 1.4 seconds going into turn 1 for the second time of asking. So at the moment here, Reed, it's looking like a pretty feisty scrap for the top 4 positions, but Jackson Resende has just had a bit of an off track and is actually slowly making his way out of corner number 1, but Valero got the jump on everybody on the start, but Zampolini keeping him honest. But it's looking very close between Coulthard in 3rd and Miranda in 4th.
Yeah, absolutely right, Alex. And you can see exactly what I was talking about earlier. The start to the race, whenever you have 8, 10, 20 cars, is going to be the danger zone. Unfortunately, casualty aboard today at Resende, now locked into 8 seconds back of the pack there. Not where you want to be. Obviously, anything can happen, but we'll keep an eye on him and see if he can contest any of the higher placements. We're on board right now with Zampolini solidly in that 2nd place, less than a second off of pole, and with Valero dominating in the qualifiers. Nice to see that there is no difference. Has filled his gas tank with his I rating and is off to the races here today. No questions asked in the top spot, and deservingly so. You can start to see a little bit of slippage there in the back tires coming around some of these very fast corners. On board now with Calavi as he makes his way through the final podium spot there in third. And now on to Victor Miranda, a top finisher over the course of many, many races so far this season. Now finds him swayed in the middle of the pack, so needs to make some moves to distinguish himself over the course of this race to ascend to his former glory. Take a little bit of a replay and see exactly what happened here at the back. A little bit of a disaster there. Oh, 22 getting spun around.
Yeah, that was Villarreal being punted by Caio Gaspar going into there, and Josh Perween finding the inside line on those in front, and it sort of compromised Jackson Resende. But the battle between third and fourth position between Gaston Coulthard and Victor Miranda thus far still very much even Stevens as they come out to complete their fourth lap of racing out of 20 here at Tsukuba, and very, very close as Zampolini has started closing in ever so slightly on Gael Valero. The gap is about 9/10 of a second between them, and it's a further 6/10 back to Coulthard. Miranda is looking for the opportunity, gets late on the brakes into the infield hairpin, but Coulthard gets the better run out of the corner. And this is a very different skill set to what we saw with the Nascar Nextgen Cup cars at Phoenix last time out. A very different coup d'etat, so to speak, a very different skill set that you have to have. A little bit further behind, Josh Perween is battling away with Caio Gaspar for fifth place. They're 3/10 apart as lap number 5 is now in the book. So a quarter of the way through the race, we're going to go to another replay here. And this was, not what Diego Villarreal wanted to do, and that was exactly why Jackson Resende was very, very close, hard on the brakes, fronts locking up, and the good thing was that Resende kept it out of the barriers, and he is closing gap ever so slightly on Diego Villarreal. He's about 4/10 of a second on average per lap quicker than the number 22, but we ride on board with our second place runner, Fabio Zampolini, who is being reeled in by the two behind. So it looks like Coulthard and Miranda are indirectly working with each other to try and close on the back of the number 327. Just up ahead, but Valero, after 6 laps, has now eked out a lead of 1.2 seconds as they hurtle their way through into the right-hander, the tight right-hander here at turn number 1. You can see the lock-up of brakes, especially from the right rear on the two in front of Victor Miranda. So if Miranda's not doing the same, what the biggest thing is that you have a little bit of a lock-up on the back rear. What you're going to find is that one of the tyres is going to be compromised because you're effectively scrubbing off all that rubber off of that particular corner, and that can adversely affect the performance and the handling of the car. Zampolini was ever so close to the barriers on the right-hand side going through the penultimate corner. Did say about that wall, that's not that barrier, that's not going to be very friendly if someone they think they're within millimetres of it and they accidentally clatter the front right fender into it. But still, Valero is taking, as always, a leaf out of somebody else's book, but that was very close there between Coulthard and Zampolini. Coulthard was right up the back bumper of the 327 going into turn number 1 as they hurtle into the infield hairpin. They're running at about sort of about 45 miles an hour through that left-hand hairpin. Now they're gathering the speed over 75 miles an hour through this quick chicane complex. Then into, now you're going to see how close, that's how close Miranda was to that wall on the right-hand side. And then they hit around about 85, 90 miles an hour going through this final right-hand sweep. A little lift on the throttle, a little bit of modulation. Clip the apex on the exit of the corner, run it wide, and that was nearly onto the grass and onto the dirt for Victor Miranda in fourth.
Yeah, Miranda up there in fourth, climbing just ever so slightly, and you're starting to see the pack of racers solidify themselves, right, as we enter the halfway spot through our time here on Tsukuba. 9 out of 20 laps done and dusted, and we find ourselves with pretty much what you would expect, a leader leading, Valero kind of taking over that place for Gaspar as he exerted in our first race of the day. And of course, right behind him, a really exciting race for that second place spot between Zampolini, Coulthard, and Miranda. All about a second apart from each other. Back behind that, we got Perwin and Gaspar. You can see in the red and black right behind there, cresting the corner and looking for that apex as we join basically the group of cars I was talking about earlier, Amperlini, Clivi, and Miranda. A ton of action to watch out on this. As you start to feel the action heat up, you're going to be taking these corners tighter, faster, and a little bit riskier, especially when it comes to cars that are a little bit more volatile, not quite as much grip onto the racetrack, and you're going to need every little bit of that to try to keep all of those four wheels on the ground. And the only reason I know that you should do that is because I wrote down Alex's advice from earlier that I should remember to watch out for that. So now I know.
There we go. Tips learnt by everybody. It's a learning day every single time we go racing here on AMX Global. You can see now that Cole Harvey was late on the brakes into turn one behind Fabio Zampolini. Miranda lost a little bit of momentum coming out of the penultimate corner, nearly clattered into the barrier on that turn, but now the battle between second, third and fourth is separated by around about 7/10 of a second. At the moment, Zampolini is holding on to said second place, but Cole Harvey is starting to apply the pressure. This is bringing Miranda into play. Miranda gets a better run out of the penultimate corner here at Tsukuba 2000 short as they run through into the final corner. Lap 11 completed. 9 to go, including this one. And again, look at the run coming out of the final turn by Victor Miranda. He's carrying a lot more speed, and he's looking to the outside through into turn one. Can he get the undercut on Cole Harvey on this occasion? The answer is quite clearly no. But with these three now covered by just over 4/10 of a second, who is going to be the one that's going to blink first? Who's going to make the biggest move? And the big point here is, can Victor Miranda maybe not get to one, but maybe two for the price of one through a particular corner? Close to the barriers goes the number 5. Again, another good run out of that penultimate corner. He's right in the hole shot for the opportunity. Is he going to swing wide coming out of the final turn? Could see a repeat of what we have seen. It is very much the case. Now, is he going to pull alongside? He's going to try to go to the outside again, try and put the front on his Cole Harvey. Through into turn number 1, a bit of a lock up there from Zampolini. Now they're nose to tail, line astern are these three. Gael Valero, however, has seen what's happened behind. He's just got his racing horse style blinkers on. And is 2.8 seconds up the road from the number 327, who at the moment is still very much holding on to that second place as we ride on board again with Miranda. Through into this right-hander. Might have been a little bit of a touch from Miranda on Cole Harvey on the back bumper. Zampolini gets a little loss of momentum coming out of that corner. And once again, these three are pretty much joined at the fender right now. And another big run wide as Cole Harvey nearly into the back of Zampolini across the stripe. Back into turn 1, round the outside. That is an absolute gnarly manoeuvre from Miranda, and he gets a little bit of a touch, and he is sideways. That was only going to come to drama, and Miranda has lost all that momentum, and with 6.5 laps to go, all that hard work that he has just put in has just come undone.
Man, yeah, a little bit of a pit maneuver there. The maybe not precise immobilization technique, but a little bit of a love tap there on the back is more than enough to end what was an incredibly tight race there for that coveted second place spot. We're going to get a replay coming our way to see exactly how that happened.
Yeah, so Miranda goes around the outside, and yeah, he turns in. I think in some respects, Miranda might have just got a little bit too overzealous with that overtaking manoeuvre, and it was right rear with left front fender contact between the pair, and Miranda now finds himself just over 1.1 seconds behind these two, who are still battling away tooth and nail over second position. Whilst that's all been happening, Gael Valero, when you're not talking about the leader that much, he's doing a pretty damn good job at the front end of the field. Now has a lead of nearly 4.2 seconds as we are about to complete lap number 15. So 15 down, 5 to go, including this one. And Cole Harvey is less than 3/10. Make that now less than 2/10 as they come out of the final corner. Cole Harvey's got the run. Won't go for the dive up the inside through into turn 1. We'll sweep a little bit wider, try and see if you can get the over-under done on Zampolini. But Zampolini, at the minute, has done an absolutely sterling job in second position in the 327. Kulhavi's going to look to the inside. No, and he runs wide. He runs straight on. He outbrakes himself up the inside, goes Miranda for P3. And it was only a matter of time that you put the immovable force versus the unstoppable object. And Kulhavi came off second best. Miranda saw the door very much wide open and said, "Thank you very much. That's P3 for me." And now, the good thing is, the battle switches between second and third to third and fourth place, as Kulhavi now will want to get on the final step of the virtual rostrum here at Tsukuba.
Yeah, absolutely climbing the rungs of that ladder. Miranda started, I think, in fifth. Keep an eye on exactly how much he has traveled up the tower there. Now sits on the podium in third. But like you said, this guy on your screen, Kalevi, is not going to go down without a fight. By far the closest on the track right now, and absolutely sharking, looking for blood in the water every single corner. An opportunity to get the overtake that he needs to retake that coveted third place spot, on board with the back end of Miranda to see that Kalevi car in his rearview mirror, and that puts the pressure on as we enter our final 2 laps of our time spent out here on Tsukuba for today in these Clio Cup cars. You're just starting to see so much of the action we alluded to at the beginning really delivering here, this specific car and track combo. All of these racers just giving us the absolute premier experience for our first time out on this track this season.
Gael Valero has not yet won here in Beta Season 2, but he was our Beta Season 1 champion and amassed a cool prize win as a result of that in terms of the dollars that you get for securing victories. And we have switched it up with, as we said, 3 different tiers: a free entry tier and 2 paid entry tiers, tier 1 and tier 2 for season 2, to open it up for everybody, as we now have lap number 18 out of 20. So once we hit 20 out of 20 on the board, on the top left-hand corner of your screens, the white flag will be out, and Gael Valero has punched his ticket, quite literally, by 5.8 seconds ahead of Fabio Zampolini. But keep your eyes on the 2 behind. They are again working in some kind of indirect unison here, because covering second, third and fourth, it's 1.2 seconds. And Zampolini, has he made a mistake? Because the gap now has gone to under 6/10. 2 laps to go. Actually, one lap to go, because the white flag is out. And Gael Valero is nearly 20% through this final lap. Battle for P2 very much clearly on, as Kulhavi in fourth, Miranda in third, and Zampolini are still battling away. But there has been a significant change after Kulhavi's efforts came unrewarded. Halfway through the lap now is our race leader, and he's going to be just one more corner away from his first victory of Beta Season 2 here on AMX Global. And it's the last ditch attempt from Miranda. But out of the final corner, it is going to be Gael Valero that is going to come out victorious with a monster gap. He crosses the start-finish line, takes the checkered, but in the run down to the start and finish line here at Tsukuba, Zampolini has managed to hold off all challengers. Miranda's going to try and pip him in the line, but it was not enough. Miranda takes third, Kulhavi fourth, Caio Gaspar, winner of the Nascar race earlier on tonight at Phoenix, takes P5. Josh Perween was looking oh so good, but he finishes in sixth. Diego Villarreal in seventh, and Jackson Resende finishes a lap off of our race leader. And there's some backward donuts attempts from our race winner, Mr. Gael Valero, giving it a good try there. Not quite working out for the Frenchman from Apex Racing, as he clatters into the barriers as a direct result. But you know what? An emphatic win for the Frenchman. And there we go. He's managed to get it all started up. And I'm just waiting for a bit of smoke to billow from the front Michelin tyres on that Clio Cup. But Gael Valero becomes your second different race winner, this time on Tier 2. That is 100 points. And also, what's more, he gains another 50 points at securing the fastest lap of the race. So a maximum score, that's 155 points for Gael Ferraro on one single race. He's your race winner here on Tier 2, Race 6 here at Tsukuba in the Renault Clio Cup cars. Ahead of Fabio Zampolini, a good, solid second position for the driver from Brazil and Duck Racing. Texaco Racing by TK's Victor Miranda rounds out the top 3 ahead of Gaston Colharvey, the privateer. KTF BRB Esports Kyle Gaspar rounds out the top 5 ahead of Josh Perween from Black Arts Racing. Sudamerica Racing Teams Diego Villarreal and Jackson Resende round out the 8-strong grid. You know what? We've had 2 fantastic races here tonight on AMX Global League, and diversity is the spice of life in sim racing, isn't it?
Absolutely is, Alex, and we absolutely got a chance to check out exactly what Season 2 of AMX Global has to offer. A lot of great car and track combinations, and it doesn't stop there. Tomorrow, we're coming back with Audi 90 GTOs on Daytona. And then we'll be setting up for the ever-popular GT3s on another classic Japanese track, the Suzuka International Raceway. So do not want to miss that in our free and Tier 1 races. And if you'd like to not miss that, you can join us by heading on over to amxrace.com and signing up there. We've got a free race and a $5 entry for our Tier 1 race there on Suzuka tomorrow. Should be an absolutely incredible day of action then. You thought today was what you want to be in on, then head on over to amxrace.com. And remember to check us all out on our socials. Alex has got his up there, and we've got all of ours surrounding us in beautiful adornment on your screen. So hit us up on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, Discord, YouTube, and of course, make sure to head on over to our website, amxrace.com. to be part of the action, and we will see you back here again tomorrow for even more from AMX Race Season 2.
Yeah, race day 12